Hi there, my name is Dan, and welcome back to All One, the United Anatomy of Being. This is episode 6, called Consciousness and Spirituality, where we'll begin to define these words, which will be very helpful in gaining clarity throughout the series. And this is also the last episode in what I call the prerequisite information. And in the next episode, we will dive into the primary content of part 1, called The Body, the Soul, and the Whole. So, in any spiritual teaching or philosophical exploration into existence, one will undoubtedly find the word consciousness used with extreme repetition. It's a critical word, but without a clear understanding of its meaning, the word can be more of a hindrance than a help. So, what is consciousness? Consciousness is a noun defined by any general dictionary as the state of being conscious. So, there you go, there you have it. But what is conscious? The word conscious is an adjective that, like many words, has different meanings when used in different contexts. But essentially, the word conscious is defined as having the faculties for awareness or perception. It is also defined as having the mental faculties not dulled by sleep. So the word conscious, particularly in this context, is entirely the same as being aware and perceptive. It is entirely the same as being awake and sensitive to or aware of something, such as our existence, our senses, our surroundings, our thoughts, and our feelings. But more so in this context, it means to be aware of all that is. Of course, it is seemingly impossible to be specifically aware of all that is, such as what is happening in a small village on the other side of the planet, or exactly what some stranger is thinking at any given moment. But it is far from impossible to be generally aware of all that is, particularly as it relates to our existence and being, because we have the perceptual tools to perceive and become conscious of the whole of our being. So, to be conscious is to have the faculties for awareness and perception, and in this case, to have perception and awareness of what is. To be conscious is to be awake to the realities of what is possible for us to perceive, and what is possible for us to be aware of given the tools of perception available to us. Consciousness, then, is the state of awareness of what really is. But consciousness is not just a singular state of awareness that one is either in or not in. Awareness is not something that one simply has or does not have, because there is so much of which to be potentially conscious or aware. Per part of the definition of consciousness, I should say, most humans are conscious or aware of their senses or surroundings, meaning they have physical level consciousness. Most humans are also conscious or aware of their thoughts and minds, but may not be conscious or aware of the complexities of the mind and how past experiences, memories, perceptions, values, beliefs, and visions are directly affecting their thoughts and actions on a daily basis. So they may only have some mental level consciousness. Humans can also have consciousness of themselves with little or no consciousness of others, or others' senses, thoughts, perceptions, values, beliefs, visions, or experiences. Again, meaning there may be some mental level consciousness. This same rationale holds true for heart and soul level consciousness. So consciousness is a continually changing state of awareness with the potential to strengthen or weaken, or grow or diminish with either practice and attention or neglect, just like a muscle. But the most remarkable thing about being human is that we have the greatest individual potential for consciousness compared to all the other life forms of which we are currently aware. We all have the tools and capability for full consciousness of all our levels of being. We all have the tools, capability, and full potential to gain the consciousness and benefit of not only knowing the physicalness around us or the effect and power of thought, but the effect and power of feeling and connecting to the ultimate source of our being and existence. We all have the tools, capability, and potential to know who we fully and truly are. So, how about spirituality? Well, as previously stated, the non-physical soul level is often referred to as the spirit. And the practice of connection to the spirit or awareness of the soul is often referred to as spirituality. And there is, of course, a direct correlation between consciousness and spirituality. Spirituality is simply the awareness or consciousness of all that is, including, but also beyond, the physical and or mind levels. And many mystics, spiritual masters, spiritual practitioners, teachers, or even philosophers have stated or do state that spirituality is nothing more than self-awareness, or more completely, self-awareness with a capital S. And as an example of the contradiction of knowledge described 2 episodes ago, this statement is absolutely true and absolutely false, depending on the point of view and the level of consciousness. The reason is that this statement is not easily comprehensible and is confusing to a human who is not aware of all their levels. How can one be completely self-aware, capital S, if they are not aware of all the parts and who they are in entirety? Anyone can have high-level awareness of their physical self without strong awareness of their thoughts or any awareness of their feelings or full being. Physical awareness is the least difficult because, as already explained, our physicalness is the least subtle level of our existence, and thus the simplest to experience. So there can be a high level of lowercase s self-awareness of our own bodies and our own actions, as well as maybe even others' physical bodies and actions, still without any spirituality or capital S self-awareness. Physical level awareness is only a quarter of our existence. There can also be high level awareness of our own thoughts and our own minds, as well as perhaps even others' thoughts and minds, but still with no spirituality or capital S self-awareness. The collective body and mind levels are only half of our existence. So to simply say that spirituality is self-awareness can be very incomplete. But if one does understand all the levels on which we exist, then one can understand what the entirety of the self with a capital S truly is. The whole self is not just the body, or not just the body and the mind. The whole self is the body, the mind, the heart, and the soul. And more important for capital S self-awareness than understanding any of these levels individually is becoming conscious or aware that the soul, or pure being, is who we and everything else ultimately are at our highest level. Only when that understanding is obtained can there be consciousness or awareness of the complete self, capital S, that is referred to in the capitalized term self-awareness. And then it is completely true that spirituality is nothing more than self-awareness. It's nothing more than knowing all that we are. And the self, or the whole anatomy of being, can be illustrated as follows in this graphic. So we're now going to move on to part 1, and in part 1, some knowledge of the physical level will again be reviewed to explain and demonstrate the existence of the non-physical soul and how the subsequent levels of existence were formed. Some of you listeners may find this part of the series to be the most challenging, as really the table must be set before understanding can be gained. But don't worry. Please resist any frustrated feelings to stop if they occur. As I said in the introduction, there are puzzle pieces that don't even have an image on them yet. They need to be dusted off and revealed. We start to put these like pieces together, and they are going to be assembled by the end for a clear picture. And a fuller picture of existence, I assure you, will begin to make sense by the end of this. Hopefully by the end of part 1, then followed by less challenging explanations of the mind level in part 2 and the heart level in part 3. So thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, where we begin to discuss the body, the soul, and the whole.